She's the president? Yeah, that would be right. My name is Tori Murden McClure. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the president of Spalding University at this time. We have the best students ever. Now, for all those folks who didn't get to say, that's my mama, or that's my dad, or that's my brother, or that's my sister, or a regular old whoop whoop, now's your time. All right. So, all right, now, I want to have us out by noon. And I have about 45 minutes to finish this speech, so I better get going. So, I have a plan for commencement addresses. Usually I pick a theme, I tell a story, and then I finish with the top 10 things that I think I know. This year my theme is navigation. I'm going to tell a story about the truly tragic tale of toxic toads. It matters. And then I'm pretty sure there'll be time enough to give you my top 10. So this would be a sextant. You use it to navigate. You use it to find yourself in places where there aren't any landmarks, like out in the middle of the ocean or in the middle of the Antarctic when there's just snow all around you. And you can navigate by the sun, but I think it's a little easier to navigate by the stars. Now, if you live in the northern hemisphere, to the north, at night, you can pretty much always find Polaris and Ursa Minor. The Big Dipper points the way to the Little Dipper. You can find Polaris, the North Star. It's kind of an important one, right? So that's over there. Now, this time of year at night, in this direction, toward the south-southwest, you can find the star Spica in the constellation Virgo. Don't worry, this doesn't matter that much. On this other side, you can find the Vega in the constellation Lyre. Now, you have to have 3 different points to triangulate your position. This matters a little bit out on the ocean. Now, I don't need my sextant anymore. Let me put that away. Even your phones and your little GPSs in your cars, they have to find 3 satellites up there before they can triangulate your position. Now, I don't have to worry so much about using my sextant when I'm on land, but in the civilized world, I like to get 3 different points of view when I'm making a tough decision. Now, if I only ask people behind me which way to go, they'll so go that way. If I only ask people over here which way to go, they'll tell me to go that way. If I only ask people over there which way to go, they'll tell me to go that way. It doesn't help me to ask people who agree with me which way I should go. I need to get 3 different points of view. I like finding folks who disagree with me. That way I know my decisions are wise decisions. Now, if you know where you are and you know where you want to go, you can figure out what direction to travel in. Now, I really only need 3 points. Sometimes I get 5 or 6 opinions if it's a really important decision. I don't get 27, right? You know those people that have to have 27 opinions on everything before they move. They take a long time to make decisions. So I'm going to move on to section 2, the truly tragic tale of toxic toads. I was in the 1st grade. It was spring. There was a stream behind my house, and frog eggs were hatching into tadpoles, and I was a curious kind of kid. I wanted to see a tadpole turn into a frog, so I caught a tadpole in a glass, went back the next day, it was dead. I thought, okay, maybe the tadpole was lonely, it died of loneliness, so I caught 2 tadpoles and I put them in a glass, and they came back the next day and they were dead. I thought, all right, maybe the issue is freedom. They don't have enough room to move around, so I got a bucket. And I put 2 tadpoles in the bucket, and they did last a few more days, but they too died. I was beginning to feel kind of bad about my experiment. So I asked my father, font of all knowledge, Father, how do you keep tadpoles alive? My father is not an outdoorsman. My father is not a woodsman. My father is an intellectual. He has been known to cut his hands on newsprint. right? He is the classic nerd. He did not care about tadpoles. He did not care to know about tadpoles, but he told me that the answers to all my questions could be found in the library. We went to the library. I got a book on frogs and toads. Sadly, the book said nothing about how to keep tadpoles alive, but it did have some pretty interesting information. First, frogs and toads, they do not like to be eaten. I'm kind of down with that. I don't want anything to eat me either. Number two, frogs and toads tend to excrete toxic solutions that make them taste bad. That's how they keep other things from eating them. Now, sometimes this juice is really toxic. Like in South and Central America, they use the juice from poison dart frogs to poison darts. Isn't that amazing? And in North America, there were tribes who used to boil the skins of frogs. They ate the legs, but they boiled the skins. Then they'd throw the skins away, and they'd drink the juice, and it would make them hallucinate, right? Okay, so there I am, sitting in my first grade class, sitting in my little first grade seat, and the teacher tells a story about a young woman who goes around kissing frogs until one turns into a prince. I was like, let me tell you, teacher. The frog didn't turn into a prince. She was hallucinating. She was just seeing things. The frog she kissed was probably toxic. She said, my dear, it's just a story. I said, teacher, my father says all stories have a grain of truth. She didn't kiss a horse or a pig. She kissed a frog. It's important she kissed a frog. She was hallucinating. My teacher sent me to the principal's office. This is the truly tragic part of the tale. At school, I called the principal Mr. Murden. At home, I called him Father. I told my father this tragic tale of toxic toads. My father was not happy with me. He explained that I had to keep all that sort of stuff in the house. Don't go wandering around the world talking about toxic frogs. You're going to mess people up. Keep it in the house. He explained that in school I should behave like I behave in church, only speak when spoken to. So for the next 10 years, I was very, very quiet in school. Then I was a sophomore in high school, and I ran into a teacher named Helen Kent Longley. She would become my Polaris, the North Star. She was that teacher, the one who saved my life. She was old and wise. She had seen students like me before, and she would speak to me only when I was alone. I would talk to her about Tacitus and Thomas Jefferson. Tacitus was a Roman senator who wrote history books, and I thought they were really cool. I was weird. And this didn't bother Mrs. Longley, because Mrs. Longley taught ancient history to the sophomores, European history to the junior class, and American history to the senior class. It was easy for her to go from Tacitus to Thomas Jefferson, from the Great Pyramids to Lewis and Clark. No challenge for her. She explained to me, Tori, anyone who knows the subject can leap tall buildings with a single thought. It's easy, right? The tricky part is building ladders to take other people with you when you make those leaps. And if you're going to jump a chasm of thought, you got to build a bridge so other people can follow you. So I began to try to use this trick of building ladders and bridges. One Friday afternoon, I was in science class, and it was late in the day, and our science teacher gave us an experiment. We were supposed to take it over the weekend and figure it out. She gave us a battery, 2 copper wires, and a light bulb. Well, in about 45 seconds, I wrapped the one wire around the bottom of the light bulb and put it on one end of the battery, took the other wire, put it on the other end of the battery, lit the light bulb. That was boring. So I wanted to see how bright I could make the light bulb burn. So I borrowed batteries from my classmates because it was Friday afternoon and they weren't going to mess with that. So I lined up batteries and I kept making the light burn brighter and brighter as I wired them in series. When I got up to about 6 batteries, the teacher turned around. And at that very moment, The light bulb lit really brightly, and then it burst into flames. She looked at me like she was going to send me to the principal's office. I was very flustered. The bell rang. I went to Mrs. Longley's office. I was crying. I'm like, she thinks I messed up the light bulb on purpose, but I didn't. I just wanted to see how brightly I could make it burn. I just needed to wire more batteries in sequence. Mrs. Longley took my hands. She held them and she put them down on the desk and she said, "Tori, I teach history. You are going to have to build a ladder with very small steps." I explained what I had done with the batteries, and she promised she would talk to the science teacher and get me out of the soup, and she promised she would talk to my other teachers if I could just learn to build ladders when I was talking to people. Fast forward 20 years. Not quite to today. It's a little while ago still. I had just taken a rowboat alone across the Atlantic Ocean, and I was rowing the last couple of miles into a harbor on the island of Guadeloupe. And I look up and a big catamaran, a big motor launch with 2 hulls came out. And on the deck were all these people from the media, NBC, CBS, all those folks, some of my friends. And there was this person on the deck, and I thought, it couldn't be. Mrs. Longley was old when I was in high school. This was 20 years later. She had to be in her 80s. It was Mrs. Longley standing on that deck. Shocked the heck out of me. We landed. I wanted to talk to Mrs. Longley, but I couldn't because I had to talk to CBS and NBC and all those people, and they made me crazy. They kept asking the same question over and over. Why did you row a boat across the Atlantic Ocean? I wanted to tell the truth, but I thought it would get me sent to the principal's office. The truth was, look at this world. Look at what we call civilization. It is messed up. We should fix it. This world is messed up, and we can fix it. Why don't we? I get really frustrated, and I get really angry, and I turn my back on civilization, and I leave. Whew. And it makes me feel better, right? I didn't say that to CBS or NBC or anybody else, because when you are speaking hard truths, you have to use very soft language. So I just made other stuff up. Many hours later, more hours than I wanted to count, the cameras turned off and someone said, "Mrs. Longley would like to speak with you alone outside." And I went outside in a courtyard and there was a little table sitting there and Mrs. Longley was sitting at the table and I sat down and I was shaking. There was so much I wanted to say. And I was shaking and I said, "Mrs. Longley, I don't have the words. I don't have the words to tell you the all." And she took my hands and she said, "I know." It was not an I know like, we say I know all the time, like I know. What we mean is whatever, right? This was not that kind of I know. It was a kind of an I know that says, "I know the all. You do not need to explain it to me." It was a kind of I know that makes you go, whew. And I sat and I listened. And Mrs. Longley described me as a teenager. I have to tell you, not all of her words were entirely flattering. She painted a picture of a painfully awkward teenager who had a burning need to find truth and justice. She also said, "You could see then that difficult things take time, and you set out to prove to all of us that the impossible just takes longer." Fast forward to the present moment. Like me, Mrs. Longley could see that we can make this world a better place. She knew she couldn't do it by herself, so she taught me. We know that we can't make the world a better place by ourselves, so we taught you. We can change the world. It's not impossible. Difficult things just take a little time, and the impossible things just take a little longer. Okay, so let's return to the subject of navigation. Let's pretend that Polaris is your family. They stand behind you. Let's pretend that Spica over in Virgo are your teachers, your coaches, your mentors, and over in Vega are your friends. In case you haven't noticed, your friends are the families you get to choose. Every adult in this room is a master of something. Every adult in this room is capable of leaping tall buildings with single thoughts. And most of us have a few areas in which the ladders need to have some teeny tiny steps in them for us to get up them. Now, I was allowed to read all the books I wanted, but I wasn't really allowed to watch television growing up, 1 hour a week. So pop culture is a mystery to me, truly a mystery to me. Last week I went to the Dillard's department store, and it was shocking. It looked like the Crayola crayon box had thrown up. There were these bright colors everywhere. And then I came to Spalding and I said, do you know that the Crayola box threw up at Dillard's? And the provost, where is the provost? The provost, Randy Strickland, explained to me an element of pop culture. He said, Tori, the color for this season is neon. Neon is in. And then he told me that a person named Taylor Swift had something to do with this. Randy Strickland knows these things. I do not. This troubles me deeply. There are many things I do not understand. I do not understand selfies. I do not understand the past tense of tweet. But right now, just because I need to embrace my growing edge, graduates, you are allowed to pull out your cell phones and other electronic devices right now. And then in the time it takes me to figure out how to do a selfie, you may use them. I didn't get it right yet. Keep going. I just took a picture of my business card. So if you want to send your pictures, hashtag, I had to learn how to do that, hashtag SpaldingU 2015. So if you want to show me how to send that picture of my business card later, that'd be cool. Now, back to being serious. I recognize in many of you the burning need to find justice and truth. I know some of you all will seek the truth in hard places. Now, it's been my experience that truth is not that hard to find. Justice is the part that's more difficult. Justice requires us to put truth into action. Now, I went looking for justice in divinity school, and I didn't find it. Archbishop would tell you I went to the wrong divinity school. Then I went to law school looking for justice. Not going to find it there. At least I wasn't going to find it there. But I know that if we wire our batteries in series together, we can make the lamp of justice burn more brightly. If we try to do it by ourselves, we are one little battery with one weak light bulb. And I don't mind if every once in a while in our fight to make that light of justice burn more brightly, if we burn out that bulb from time to time, that's okay, because we got to keep trying. So now it's time for me to end with my top 10. I have a good old half an hour. Won't take that long. Socrates said, all I know is that I know nothing. I will freely admit that I don't know anything for sure, but I will end with the top 10 things I think I know. Number 1, silence is golden. And if silence should fail you, duct tape is silver. And it comes in a multitude of colors. Number 2, roadblocks only block the road. They don't block the grass, the path, the water, or the way less traveled. Roadblocks just block the road. Number 3, this is new for this year. Avoid all things that begin with the phrase, hey, hold my beer, watch this. Or today's corollary, hey, hold my toad juice, watch this. Number 4, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. I've had several and I have many more planned. Number 5, just in case you missed it earlier, if you have to tell a truth that is very hard, you must use words that are very soft or no one will listen. Frank X. Walker, Silas House, they tell truths that are very hard. They use words that are soft enough for us to hear them. Number 6, I stole this from a trustee. When in doubt, mumble. Number 7, if you have to keep something that you are doing a secret, then perhaps you should not be doing it. Number 8, don't take yourself too seriously, no one else does. Number 9, be yourself. As Oscar Wilde pointed out, everyone else is already taken. Number 10, do not believe everything you think. Or as Socrates says, all I know is that I know nothing. To the graduates, congratulations for reaching this milestone in your lives. Congratulations for your achievements and the achievements you are yet to make. I have every confidence that you will when you leave Spalding, you will go out with all the compassion, all the heart, all the head, all the hand that you have learned. You will go out, you will teach, heal, feed, and build. You will inform, advocate, comfort, and guide. You will criticize, organize, contribute, and in 1,000 other ways you will serve people and causes. When this commencement service comes to an end, I know your service to the world will continue anew. Go out and fix things. Go out and make us proud.